Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Wednesday, August 26th, and we got a freaking heat wave going on here. We are baking. Man, this like triple digits, days on end. So yeah, it is it's like where I'm at 5 in the morning, and it's still like in the high seven, mid 70s right now. It's pretty crazy, huh? Anyway, the market right now is pretty much sitting here twisting in the wind. I haven't really done a whole lot here in the overnight. Uh, kind of stuck in our building value, looks like. This move out of the middle to the downside, which came down from, um, which happened a few days back. Didn't quite make retrace the whole way. They stalled right here at the 75, 76.55s and been going sideways. Yesterday was one of those days which if they were going to extend, that would have been a potential continuation to the downside. But we had this retest failure set up between the 20th and the 24th. The 25th yesterday did not quite extend. And we're basically at stage 3 right down that little profile. That little move out of the middle to the downside kind of turned into just a little retracement there now. We got stuff going on this morning. We get it. Oh, come on. So we have the ton of news coming out at 8:30, and that's pretty much it for the day. So we got durable goods, we got GDP, we got personal income and outputs. That's your PCE index. We got corporate profits, retail and wholesale inventories, all coming out at 8:30. A few minutes here. The PCE is back from July, so people complain about it's like a little bit old, but it's still a measure they used to look at. We'll see how this work guy is gonna on the new Fed chair is gonna actually look at this data. That's going to be one of the interesting aspects of this because I know Powell used to look at that in the PCE index. Question is if we're going to keep as much focus on it as he did. But that number is coming out today. Oil report at 10:30, 2 and 5 year auctions at 11:30 and 1. But I think the bulk of news comes out at 8:30, and then we have probably digesting that, and then we get in the afternoon or after the close, we get the Nvidia earnings. That's going to be a big deal, and it's going to probably get pretty whippy here after the close, and then we'll see how they fare on the in the tomorrow's trading, because the tomorrow's trading is where you get the reaction. So that's when you can trade the Nvidia reaction. So either the market's going to take off to the downside, or maybe even we get another rally here. So. But Nvidia is a pretty big deal in the earnings report when it comes to earnings reports. So starting off today, starting off as we did in the overnight, just flat out range bound. We're in stage 3. We have a lower edge, we have an upper edge, and we're just going to trade in that range right now until we get some piece of news which busts us through it. So looking to buy weakness against the 76.80s, 76.70s, 76.60s. Or 55 to 60s. We're going to sell strength against the 76 and 95s, 7700s, and the 7715s. And as we said yesterday, that 7715 it's turning out to be a pretty key area. So they take that out. You have a pretty good shot at retracing right back here to the 70s. If you take out the 55 to 60s, chances are we're going to test the 7630 area. Nice little low volume area right now at between that 40 and this 55 60s, which is stalling activity. And we have retraced them a little bit more than half of that move to the upside, which started back on the beginning of August. So it's going to be an interesting trading day. I mean, sometimes these trading days goes, yes, absolutely doldrums, nothing happens, complete boring. Sometimes, as today, we have a little bit more news to drive the market. If that news sets the market off, it could be a pretty volatile session. If it sets it off directionally, that could be even more interesting. So the only concern right now is like, yeah, there's going to be some kind of a negative reaction, and they're going to pile on that negative reaction. We'll see if that happens or not. But So, but getting started, we're going to look for potential test or if they're going to try to take out the 55 to 60s or that 77.15. And either side of it will have a potential direction, either up or down. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it to get started. If we get a volatile reaction, but that's not directional at all, probably going to see a pretty sloppy session until we get to the NVIDIA earnings. And then we'll see if how the markets react to that. The last few earnings report has been interesting because they come up with great earnings and beats everything, and then they get like sold off. That has been the case the last 4 times. Maybe today's going to be different. Who knows? Nasdaq already trading 400,000. That's not very high. Micro ES at 88. That's not very high either. It used to be twice that, so pretty slow overnight. Looking at the Nasdaq. There's my capital flow chart on the Nasdaq. There you are. All right, so the capital flow on the Nasdaq. You can see we are pretty much trading right at this edge right there, right around this area where they, or just below it. This area needs to hold. If they keep pushing lower, we're going to be down here. We can get down into this lower area and start churning to the downside. So Nasdaq we're holding in this upper area for a good chunk of this little move to the upside. Now they backed off a little bit, and it's a pretty big area. So at this point, the what I'm highlighting here, and I can actually drag this guy down, but you see how this volume edge is moving a little bit. I'm going to adjust that a little bit here in a bit. But you see, it starts really down here at the 29,080s, goes all the way up here to the 300s. That's your general error congestion. That's big volume edge got going on there. And in this big distribution, the mode is right here now at the 29,300s. So Nasdaq is also in a pretty big range, but I'm going to start off range bound because Nasdaq hasn't really, well, it's actually, I don't take that back. Nasdaq has actually been extending to the downside. They've been, here you go, day session low, little holding session, another low, another holding session. So Nasdaq has been grinding to the downside. It hasn't been a straight up, like every day it's extending to the downside, but they have been net trying to take this lower. And I would just start off range bound. I would probably favor the short side on the Nasdaq to get started to see if they're going to try the same trick again. If they don't extend to the downside in today's session, they will take out that low at the 28,950. If they don't take out that low today, I think we may have a shot at holding the line. That would be 2 days they haven't extended to the downside. That's at least a start, right? But I would emphasize range-bound trading. I would favor the short sides. I would favor selling strength for rotations down, and that would be against the 270s, the 300s, the 360s, and the 420s here for rotations down. Up to the 470 and 530. If they can get up above those two, we will be in pretty good shape. But right now, if they can take out yesterday's day session high at 410, I would be at least taking off the short bias and going back range bound at least in the early morning hours. And depends on how it looks. If they can't take out the low going into the afternoon, I'll probably take off the short bias as well. But right now, I'm favoring the short side on the Nasdaq. The ES, I'm range bound. Nasdaq, I'm favoring the short side. Given that the day sessions has been knocking the crap out of it and taking it lower like that. So that's where we are on. Nasdaq. Looking to buy against the 29,180s, the 130s, and the 29,080s for rotations up. They start trading below that 29,080s. Definitely stay on the short side. That one I would be expecting a retest of the low coming in, happening at that point. So range bound, I would favor the short side. Watch these upper areas. So taking off the short bias above the 410s, about 530, I think we have a good run going, and I would definitely stay on the long side at that point. On the way down, they're going to buy against weakness. Just a little bit caution on that. 180s, the 130s down to the 29,080s for rotations up. And if they get halfway through the day without doing anything, then that's going to take off the bias anyway and go back range bound. But man, this Nasdaq has been pretty darn whippy. So low volume, not a lot of volume in the overnight trading for sure. Looking at our bonds, bond market is slowly grinding higher. They have been up here about 110 right now, holding. And we'll see if this wash approach is going to work to artificially lift prices, at least in the short term here. So as I said yesterday, if they're buying long-term bonds a little bit more aggressively, I think I want to stay on the long side of the bonds, looking to buy weakness. Even if the day looks pretty darn range bound, I would still favor the long side because now we know that Fed is in here supporting the market. So you do want to be on the long side of that. So looking to buy at this point against the 109.10s. I think that would be aggressive. The 8 to 10s here, that'd be a trading right there. A better one would be against the 110.02s and maybe even down to the 109.26s. But I would say below the London low, I would probably take off the long bias and go back range bound if that starts happening. And then finally on the cryptos. So on the cryptos, no trades on that part for me in the overnight. It wasn't doing too much in the overnight. It was kind of sloppy and the volume was not quite there. It was pretty light volume, to be honest with you. I opted not to do anything on it. I did add another market there, the US 500. It's like a stock in the like S&P 500, kind of a future they launched. And so I'm looking at it right now. Yes, it's still volume is pretty darn light on it. It's not a lot of volume in that at all. So it's not going to be actively trading it, just kind of watching it for now. So anyway, so that's where we are on the futures, crypto futures. We're not doing anything on those right now, but it's the ones to trade is really Bitcoin and Ethereum. A lot of volume on that. So Bitcoin is already traded 65,000 contracts. Ethereum is traded 66,000. So now you have pretty good volume on those. The other ones, the metals and oil, pretty light on the volume right now. All right, so back to the ES and the NASDAQ. And pretty much where we left it. I would not be, I'll be looking at a couple of different charts as well, and the market is just churning sideways, not doing anything. So I would not be very aggressive right from the get-go. I will wait for that news because we got a big dump on news coming out. The GDP, personal income, durable goods. We have a lot of news coming out at 8:30, so I would let that settle in and then start looking for a direction. See if we get some sort of a directional move based on that. And I think the ES gives us the best hint right now as to where if the market is going to start trading higher or not. It's a pretty well-defined range. And if they start taking out that 76, 55 to 60s, I would be back on the short side on both ES and probably NASDAQ too. Above the 77.15, I think we have a shot at maybe trading higher. And I would start leaning in on the long side at that point. All right, guys, we'll wrap it there for now. So good trading, and news is about 10 minutes. So I'll see you guys back at 11:30. All right, guys, later.